What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Unplugged. I'm Alex. This is my first YouTube video, hopefully first of many. And today we're going to be doing a 2025 NFL mock draft 1.0. We're going to be doing no trades, and this is based on the current draft order. So let's just jump right into it. On the clock with the first pick, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think there's only one way to go with this, and it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, more likely than not. Do I think he's exactly worthy of that number one draft slot? No. But he's a fine quarterback. I think he'll distribute the ball well. I think he can at least run the offense. The Raiders need somebody back there who can play at the pro level, which they haven't had in a little while. So I think Shedeur's a good pick for them, and I think Brady will have his input there. So if they're at one, I think they go quarterback. Number two, this is where a lot of people are saying quarterback. Again, I'm not sure I see it with Cam Ward as in terms of going this high. And I think you take the guy that probably could have been the number one pick, and you build elsewhere. You sign a bridge in free agency, and you might just have to go another direction and maybe wait next year to go for your quarterback. But I have the Giants going with Travis Hunter. Extremely talented player. I don't think there's too much to say. I personally think he might even be a better receiver than he is a corner, and I don't think that's just the fantasy football me saying that. I really do think the man is extremely talented, very versatile. So I think the Giants would be in a great position to take Hunter here. You get a blue chip guy like that. At number three, my New England Patriots. It's been a rough ride. They definitely need help on the line. They need playmakers at receiver. Wish they could have gotten somebody like Hunter in a mock like this. But at three, I think that people are also undervaluing how bad their defense has been. It's been atrocious. They have no pass rush. It's almost as bad as the offense, to be quite frank. And I think that Abdul Carter would be great to slot in for the Patriots here. I think he's going to test like an absolute freak. He is a beast. I'm a big fan of Carter. Tons of speed and power off the edge. And I think that would be an opportunity to collect three straight blue chips with Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, and Carter. So I think that would be a great core personally. I think they can address the O-line in free agency or later rounds and maybe get some playmakers as well. But I think it would be tough to pass up on somebody like Carter. I think he'll be flying up to the top of the board come draft time. Pick number four, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to go with Will Campbell here. I think it would give some versatility to the Jaguars. They need help all over the line. He does. There have been rumblings that he's, probably better suited as a guard because of the short arms and whatnot. I think Campbell's a solid pick for them regardless. I think you can slot him in anywhere really on that line, and he'll do well for you. So that's a good pick for them. Sitting at number five, we have the Carolina Panthers, and I have them selecting Mason Graham, interior lineman out of Michigan. He's been an absolute beast the past couple years, especially on that national championship team, and he's been great this year. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think it would be great for the Panthers to pick one up there. Yes, they might need another playmaker on the outside. Some are thinking Ted McMillan. I think Ted will go a little bit later here, actually the next pick, but I think Ted could also end up sliding down a little further than people think. But Graham would be a great fit for that interior in Carolina. So with that being said, number six, Ted McMillan to the Tennessee Titans. This is another situation where I don't think they go quarterback. I don't think they take Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's a guy who's also going to have to sit, which I'll talk about in a second. But I think you give Levis one more year, or you go with the bridge guy, even though the market is looking pretty bleak in that sense. But I think if you give Levis a big weapon like that, he's known for his deep ball. He's not the worst quarterback you've ever seen. He just makes some boneheaded plays. I think you see if you can develop him for one more year, and you get a big playmaker outside. And if not, you have a good playmaker for when the next guy comes in next year, hopefully. So, Ted McMillan to the Tennessee Titans. Pick 7, the Cleveland Browns. This is where I have Cam Ward going. I have him falling down here a little bit. A lot of people, again, have him taking it too. I just don't see it. I think he's going to have to sit for a little bit. And I know that those Cleveland Browns are going to be playing Deshaun Watson because they will be damned if they don't. And I think Ward sits for a bit, and I think eventually you have that transition period where maybe he learns and he's able to step in and really help the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see how that one goes. At pick 8, I have Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. I think Johnson could be a future All-Pro. The kid is extremely smooth. He's been a great player for Michigan for a long time, and I think the New York Jets, they have a lot of holes. I'm not sure the defense is really, or at least the secondary is really the main one, but I think it would be a great pick for them to just pick him up and line him opposite of Sauce Gardner. I think that would be a great duo for a long time, even though Sauce hasn't been playing terrific this year. But anyways, moving on to pick 9, the Bears, I have them going with tackle Kelvin Banks out of Texas. They clearly need help on the line. They keep spending premium picks on places that don't seem like they're working out. Hopefully those guys develop, but you have to address the line again. Poles has been, beaten and battered for not really doing it. The Darnell Wright pick, not sure if that's really ending up working out. So I got Banks here for them. I think he should be a good bookend for them. Picking at 10, we have Nick Scorton. I'm going with. They need a pass rush. They need that line. They're kind of bandaging it together with Chase Young. And they have some injured players back there as well. Everybody's getting older. Cam Jordan isn't getting any younger. That's for sure. So I think Scorton gives them some speed off the edge and maybe get that pass rush back to where it's, on a rookie contract and start dealing with that salary cap problem. Pick number 11, I have Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State. You got to keep Tua upright. That's always a priority, especially with him signed. You got to just commit to Tua. The playmakers are getting older, but I don't think you can go wrong with line here and just helping Tua out as much as you can. Pick number 12, the Colts. I have them going on the inside with Kenneth Grant. Grant's a big boy, can stop the run, be pretty disruptive. Their run defense has been pretty putrid, so I would imagine they address the D-line in some sense, even if it's not Grant. Pick 13. Here we could talk about the receiver situation in Cincinnati. I do believe that they will not be able to retain Chase and Higgins, even with the whole agent fiasco that they're signed to the same agent now. I do see T going and getting the bag elsewhere. I think they go receiver here because they don't have any other playmakers really outside of Chase. I think Chase is going to get probably the biggest contract in NFL history for a receiver. So I got them taking Burden here. I like Burden a lot down year, but his playmaking ability, he's a special player. I think people are going to realize that this year wasn't exactly his fault as much. And I think the Bengals will be lucky to get him there. So coming in at 14, a lot of people are going to have Genty here. I'm going to take Ben Morrison. I think you're getting a discount here because of the injury. I think he probably would have been a top 10 pick if he did not get injured. He was known for locking up multiple great receivers in college. He really is a good player, so I think the Cowboys are getting a good pick here. I can't see them going Genty. I think that would be a misuse of draft capital, but we all know the Cowboys, and they just might do it. So we'll see with that. Pick number 15, San Francisco 49ers, the known bully of that division, but truly not this year. I didn't really know what direction to go with them. I'm end up going Ursery from Minnesota. I think that you just go tackle. I don't know too much about them, but they've been really not willing to spend on the O-line early in the first round, but I think they do this year to just switch it up. Pick 16, I have the Atlanta Falcons going with Jalen Walker, Butkus Award winner. I think this would be a great pick for them. Doesn't make much sense that he was also second team All-SEC but won the Butkus Award, so not sure how that works, but I think they've built out their team. The offense, they built out the offensive line. You have all those premium picks at receiver and tight end in London and Pitts, even though Pitts hasn't really panned out. But I think you've given Penix enough weapons to where you don't really have to address that. And I think you're able to pick up a linebacker here in Walker that's really potentially game-changing. So that would be a great pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Pick 17, Wyatt Millum out of West Virginia, another just team need pick. Not going to sit here and act like I know how to evaluate O-linemen, but I think it's a team need for them, and I think that would be a good pick, as well as for The Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to go interior lineman because that's where they've struggled the most. And I don't think they've been known to really spend money on the O-line. So I think they're just going to try to pick up an inside guy here. I have them going one of the top guards in the class, Tyler Booker out of Alabama. Pick number 19. This is where I get one of my favorite picks off the board. People are going to be drooling over this in fantasy if this were to happen. But I got Ashton Jeanty going to the Chargers. Now, Harbaugh is known to build out that offensive and defensive line before he really starts spending on his position players. But I see an opportunity here where you're picking up a generational, if we could say, a running back, even though that word gets tossed around too much now. You pick up Jeanty. Gus Bus isn't really working out. I don't think the Dobbins coming off an injury is really what you need. You need somebody Herbert can turn around and hand the ball off to, and you're confident that you'll be able to pick up some yards behind that line. So I think that would be a great pick for them. Really not much else to say. I think it would be phenomenal. So pick 20, we're going with Malachi Starks. It's kind of a best player pick for the Buccaneers. I think he's phenomenal in coverage. He's a physical player. I think Starks would be a steal for them at this position. Now we're going to move on to pick number 21 with the Los Angeles Rams. I have them going Cam Williams here, tackle. They've got some expiring contracts on the outside with Havenstein and Jackson. I think you got to pick up an O-lineman here. Pick number 22, Washington Commanders. Starting to need playmakers again. You have McLaurin, you have Sanat kind of riding the bench behind Ertz. I think they go with a guy that a lot of people are starting to, come around on. I think he's going to be flying up draft boards, and that's Alec Iomanner. He's got a good frame. He's got some solid production over his time. And I think from what I've watched, a lot of people end up liking him more come draft time. So I think that would be a good weapon for Jaden Daniels. Pick number 23, one of my favorite picks in the draft, Tyler Warren. I think Sean Payton gets his Swiss Army knife. It's pretty much Taysom Hill reincarnated, just 10 times better. So it's going to be special the way he uses him if he ends up there, which I would be ecstatic about. So pick number 24, I've got Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, the corner. Was a great corner at Ole Miss and Alabama. Their secondary has been absolutely brutal this year, one of the worst in the leagues in terms of pass yards allowed. I think this would be a good team need and get to pick up a good player in Amos. Pick number 25, we have the Houston Texans. I have them going Tyleik Williams inside. They do need some help. I think Williams is probably a good pick here in terms of team need. 26, the Pittsburgh Steelers, another one of my favorite picks in terms of fit. Also in terms of player, I have them going Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. Could have declared last year, didn't have a spectacular year this year, but he's a solid, well-rounded receiver. They went Roman Wilson last year. The man really hasn't seen the field. Not really sure why that is, but I think they do need to pick up another playmaker outside of Pickens. Would be a great fit for them. Pick number 27. We have the Green Bay Packers. I've got them going with Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M, the edge rusher. Powerful, speedy. I think Shamar's got a good build, and he would be good for them. They have to go edge again, even though they've spent 2 first-round picks on edge, 2 on corner, and they're going to have to do it again probably because the edge rush isn't really working with Van Ness, and Gary really hasn't produced much this year also. So got him going Shamar Stewart. Pick number 28, I have the Minnesota Vikings going with Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, running back. Would be great in terms of fantasy and real life. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. I think he'll be phenomenal in a zone scheme like that, and I think that the Vikings have the chance to spend a pick here because of how well-rounded they've been built. So I think they'd be getting a gem in Caleb, and that would be great for whether it's JJ or Darnold. I think it'll end up being JJ, but he'll be able to turn around and hand that ball to Caleb. I think that would be a great opportunity for him. So pick number 29, I'm going to go with Mykel Williams, edge out of Georgia. Great frame. He hasn't, produced, I think, as much as people would think. But I think the Bills can kind of afford to pick up Mykel here. They've been solid off the edge, and I think you can take that shot on a high upside player like him. Now, for the Eagles, I'm going James Pierce out of Tennessee. Another sort of team need. I think they could just pick up another edge here and call it a day. Pick number 31. What the hell do the Lions even need? There's not many holes on that football team. I think they end up going edge. Again, I'm going to pick LT Overton out of Alabama. I think just in terms of depth, they've been marred with injuries all year long. And I don't think you can go wrong picking up another D lineman for that team. Pick number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. One of my biggest flag plants of this draft is going to be Colston Loveland. The production profile wasn't great this year. Definitely more team-based, even though he doubled up the next highest receiver on Michigan. So I think he's going to be a special player. He moves so fluidly for his size, and really excited to see if he could end up in a place like Kansas City. So I won't go through every pick here, but y'all can see on the screen the summary of the draft. Things are definitely going to change, whether that's the draft order will surely change over the next few weeks here, as well as the players rising up the board. So this was my mock draft 1.0. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my first video. Hopefully I get to do a couple more of these mocks, especially as I learn more about the class. So this was exciting for me, and I hope you guys all enjoy. See you in the next one.
And you know I keep it stacked in my vault, only open when a motherfucker wanna pop off. Keep the gas inside the whip, you know it's always topped off. If she come into the crib, somehow it's always tops off. Look, gasolina in my fucking speakers, you gotta hear it. If I'm rolling down the windows, baby, you gon' smell the reefer. Shaking on my hand, you know it's very nice to meet you. Got the feeling you would keep her.